Hey, business building warrior, got a treat for you today. It's an interview with one of the longtime members of our community who has popped up from time to time. We heard the first time he was on our show was back at episode number, I think he said 71. We talk about it on the show today. Here we are, over 1,000 episodes later. He's been on here a handful of times, but he's always got some interesting insights and developments and some encouragement. He's a high energy guy. He's spoken at our conference a good handful of times. He's created great content for this community over the years. And today we're not going to be talking so much about Amazon. We're going to be talking about eBay. Now, we don't talk about eBay a lot around here. It's actually where I got my start. I've moved away from eBay considerably over the years, but it's a great backup source for sure, especially if you get some inventory that you thought you'd be able to sell on Amazon and you can't. Maybe Walmart's an option, maybe eBay's an option. But Jeff has some interesting insights today that he intends to share with us at our conference as well, the Proven Conference, which is coming up. Little side note, if you don't have your tickets yet, get your tickets for the Proven Conference, recently voted the best reseller event in the industry, in the world. If you're selling on Amazon, eBay, Walmart, you need to be there. You're going to be equipped and encouraged and inspired. Over 40 breakout sessions, the course of 3 days. It's the last 3 days of May 2025. The website again is three words, theprovenconference.com. You'll see Jeff there as one of the speakers. He's given us a little hint about what his topic's going to be. Now, he's been having a lot of success lately selling other people's stuff on eBay, not traditional consignment where you stick a sign in your yard and say, hey, I'll sell your stuff, although he does some of that kind of thing. But he's gotten into the world of helping other people who live outside the United States who are selling on Amazon not have to deal with their returns. So he will help them by taking their returns, anything that comes back from Amazon that can't be sold, rather than just disposing of it because they don't want to have to ship it all the way back to, say, the UK or Ireland or wherever they happen to be from. They want their Amazon stuff just to be turned into cash, make it someone else's problem. Well, that's what Jeff does. And there's other services out there like that that handle returns. But Jeff has really got a niche going on eBay. It's blown up his business. He's doing great with it. And along the way, with all these transactions he's generated, he's learning some really cool insights about how to give yourself a big advantage on eBay, regardless of what you're selling on eBay. So he breaks down some of those lessons for us as well today. As you know, if you've listened to our show for a while, this is a multiple income stream community, meaning we're not all about Amazon or all about Walmart or all about just eBay or all about maybe self-authoring your own book or becoming a consultant in the e-commerce niche. We're about all of that. And we have many people who do multiple different strategies. So while we continue to emphasize and continue to encourage new sellers who are looking for a great strategy to build a beautiful business, we continue to say, get on Amazon, get the Proven Amazon course. That opportunity is exploding. What are these backup opportunities that you can either grow into or add on or transition to over time? The relationships that will lead you into all these interesting directions. Well, we love talking about those as well. And that's what today's episode is. So here's the bullet points. Make sure you come to the conference because you're going to meet great people like Jeff and 40 other great presenters who are going to have sessions at our event. And if you're focused only on Amazon and you're looking for some other things, hey, we've got some great eBay insights for you today from my good friend who we're going to spend some time with right now, Mr. Jeff Clark. Enjoy this episode. So, Mr. Jeff Clark, good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see you, brother.
I love doing episodes with you. I don't know how many we've done. We just passed 1,000 episodes. I don't know if you
I
caught that or
know
not.
that's insane. Yeah, I
Crazy.
went back and listened to the first episode that I did with you. That was number 71.
Okay, well, I
That's
was
been
going
a
to say
while.
I had no idea, but yeah, you've been on here a handful of times, and you've been in the
Yeah,
community for basically since the beginning, from my perspective,
pretty much.
and all kinds of ups and downs and swings and everything. But here we are, still standing, still doing e-commerce.
I know,
But
man.
you've started drifting in some new directions here recently that have really caught fire, and I'm excited to share that with the listeners. So let's jump into your story.
Cool. Okay. Wow. Well, I'm going to go back to 2006. That's when I sold my first item on eBay. And I was working in a factory, homeschooling, dad, 7 kids, stay at home wife, all that stuff. And basically, God said, hey, you're going to quit your job and become an entrepreneur. And I said, "You are nuts. You, you are not talking to the right Jeff, man. Like, you got the wrong number." But of course, he knows what he's talking about. And a year later, I did quit. And my wife and I started editing and ghostwriting books. But as part of putting the entrepreneur heart inside me, he had me learning how to sell on eBay before I quit. So 2006 is when I first started, and I really thought it was fun. I loved it, and I probably should have recognized at that time that that was my superpower. but but I was pretty determined, to make our editing and ghostwriting business work. So 2007 then is when we met you and Andrea at one of Ray Perry's conferences, and Andrea and my wife Dawn, they became super good friends. 2008 then is when I really got into your community, because that's when I started writing your newsletters for you. So I've been around that long in your community.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy.
It's how time has flown, and we've all kind of
I know
grown
it
up in this industry and seen the changes. And
for sure.
yeah, great memories
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
So in 2013, then is when my wife said, "Hey, I think you should do Jim's proven Amazon thing, because it sounds like it's right up your alley." So got into selling on Amazon then. And 2014 then is when she passed away. And that was the week before Proven Conference 2. We didn't call it Proven Conference then. It was CES, but it was the
right.
second
Different name, second event.
second conference. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really dramatic. And you guys showed me so much love. I was amazed. I wasn't even going to come to the
Mhm.
conference, but my kids
I remember they
said
talked you into it. Dad, you
they
have to
did.
go.
They
These are your
did.
people. These are your friends. You've got to
Yeah.
go.
Well, and not only that, they said, Mom wanted you to go so
Mhm.
badly. Like, you will
Mhm.
honor Mom by
Yeah.
by going to the conference. So,
That
that's
was a
that's when I
powerful that
showed
was a
up.
powerful moment. Yeah,
Oh
and
my gosh.
as we were friends, and our friendship, I think, even accelerated in wake of, Dawn and Andrea were good friends, but our friendship, the two, you and I, kind of
Yeah.
accelerated as a result of what I saw you going through, and
Yeah,
that
for
was a
sure.
very emotional event for you and for us, and I think for
It
everyone who was
was.
there. Just we started to kind of realize that this e-commerce thing isn't just random people online and email addresses; it's real people
Yeah,
and real family
for
and
sure.
real relationships. And I think I think that's probably what sealed that in our hearts so early on. We've always been so focused on relationships. And I know that's kind of a theme of your story today, but
Yeah.
just going back down memory lane, that was a pivotal moment. There was a lot of people crying right along with you
Oh man.
at a business
Yeah.
event, and they'd met you a few hours earlier,
Right.
but it just got
Right.
real. We're doing
Yeah.
real life here, people, right? We're doing it
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. That was
Powerful memory.
such a that solidified. I always say it all the time that it's more of a family reunion than a business conference, but
Yeah.
that particular conference, that felt like family. It
Nate
felt
says
like,
more hugs than handshakes, and we
yeah.
love newbies. It's not a us four no more kind of club. Like, yeah, you're an outsider
Right.
newbie. No, we've always welcomed in warmly the new folks, but you have to pick up very
Absolutely.
quickly that we're doing life together, and business is kind of a add on.
It's part of it. It's all
Yeah,
part of it. And Rabbi Lappin talks about that, that business isn't a separate part of your life. Like, your faith, your home, your business, and all it's all intertwined,
it's all
you
blended.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's all
can't tell.
blended.
Yeah, I love when those moments when I can't really tell. Am I being a good dad? Am I going to be a good husband? Am I being a good entrepreneur? I'm
Right.
not sure because it's all blended together.
Right.
That's just a
Yeah.
beautiful way to do life. Y'all are serious relationships, or that's tied to your business somehow. At least most of them, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's been our reality for now decades. So yeah,
100%. Yeah. So a year after that conference is when I started teaching, wrote my first book, and started my own group within the Silent Gym community. And over the course of the last 10 years, I've written other books and developed video courses, and done all kinds of stuff within the community here. But it's always been like I've always had a heavy Amazon focus. Okay. And eBay's always been just kind of a side thing for me. So what's changed in the last couple of years, and this was I'm going to get real again with more life stuff. I remarried in 2020, and that marriage lasted about 18 months, and then she decided this wasn't the life that she wanted. And so that marriage ended. And that's not unlike really a death, because your marriage is kind of a separate entity, and so I took some grieving time. But one of the things that came out of that grieving time was a new focus, a new business focus for me. And this is where the relationship comes in, because a friend of mine who's been, you know, long time Amazon seller, known him for 10 years or more, he suggested a new angle for me, and it just kind of resonated in my spirit. So I started this other venture, which is heavily eBay focused, and basically it's a consignment deal, which sounds like, oh well, consignment, what are you gonna, how much can you do there, right? But it's amazing how it can scale. And my eBay sales right now, Jim, no kidding, year to date this year is 250% over my eBay sales last year. So this has really, really dramatically changed. Well, it's dramatically changed my finances, which is great. But also, the main thing that this has done is since I dove into eBay so deeply, like I still do Amazon, but it's a fraction of what I used to do. I basically just kind of have Amazon on autopilot. I've got a handful of merchant fulfilled replens that I do, and not much else. But I've really, over the last couple of years, after going through my grieving process, I've really dove into learning how eBay works on a molecular level, right? Like,
Right.
eBay's pretty simple. Okay. There's sellers. They say, I've got this stuff to sell. There's buyers who say, I'm looking for this. And somehow they connect and make a transaction. That's the simple part of it. Okay.
Well, before we get
But
into this, let me
yeah, go
back you
ahead.
up just a second because
Yeah.
I want to emphasize the relational side of this before we talk about, because I know where you're going
Okay,
with the
good.
eBay. You've discovered some really cool stuff about how the eBay engine, search engine works, and that's a good nugget we want to leave people with. But I want to hear the relational side of how you got into this eBay thing. And as much as you're willing to share with us, I'm not sure,
Sure. Okay.
strategy wise, I think it's a powerful concept. When you say consignment, some people might be like, "Oh, hey, I stick a sign in my yard. I'll sell your stuff on eBay." Well, that is a tough business model. We saw crash and burn for just about everyone who tried it.
Oh, yeah.
Open up a little
Yeah.
shops. Hey, bring me your junk and I'll sell it for you. That's what people think when they think consignment. That's
Sure.
not what you're doing. So break it down for us a little bit and how the relationship led to that.
Sure. Okay, great. So, yeah, before this, when I would do and I still do this part of consignment, just tell people what you do. Okay. Everybody, family, friends, neighbors, people that I play in bands with, everybody knows what I do. And so I constantly have people coming to me saying, hey, our church just upgraded their audio equipment. Can you sell, this, the old stuff for us? Great. I have a friend who is the emergency management coordinator for a neighboring county, and he contacted me and said, we just upgraded all of our equipment, our audio, or our
Phone systems?
walkie talkie, not the phone
Oh,
system,
the
but like the
communication. Yeah, like the
communications,
emergency
yeah,
communication
communications
system.
equipment.
Okay, gotcha.
So I took all of their old equipment, and and that sounds like it's nickel dimey, but that right there, that was like a $2,500 paycheck for me and a $2,500 paycheck for him, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
stuff like that is great, and that's all relationship based. Okay. But what I'm focused on now, and this came about from the friend who's an Amazon seller. He said, hey, he lives in the UK, and he said, hey, I've got a friend who sells on Amazon, and he, like, if Amazon gates something or tells him he has overstock and he has to pull stock, he just has them dispose of it because it's not
Right.
cost effective to
He's
ship it
selling in the
back.
US, to be
He's
clear.
selling in the US on Amazon. So if he can't and he needs to remove inventory, he just says, okay, well, dispose of it. And because it's not cost effective to ship it back across the pond, right? So my friend suggested, What would you think about having him send his stock to you and you list it on eBay for him? So I started doing that, and word of mouth, that guy connected me with somebody else, and that person connected me with somebody else, and that person connected. So right now I've got 16 overseas clients that I'm handling all of their inventory pulls.
Free inventory, and when it sells, you get a cut.
Free inventory, man. Every day a stack of packages shows up on
Mhm,
my porch with
mhm,
stuff, with free
mhm,
money. Honestly,
mhm.
free money. All I have to do is put the effort into it. And it's not, yes, I have some clients that, I send them, 80, $90 a month, but I have at least one client who gets anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 a month from me,
Mhm.
just from their overstocked junk.
Yep.
So it's a serious deal.
I'm glad we spent time on this, Jeff, because it's without relationships, we say it all the time. If there was a theme, like if I said
Right.
AI, listen to all 1,000 episodes and boiled down the success strategies to one word, pretty sure it would say relationships. Because if
100%.
you're not talking to, interacting with, sharing with others in our community, you're missing out on 85, 90% of the potential of what we've got going on around here. So one little
Oh my gosh.
conversation,
Yeah.
you're solving a problem. It's a 3-4-way win solution
Yep.
suddenly, and
Yep.
free inventory, right? And you
Absolutely.
don't just stumble into these things. Your phone doesn't just ring one day. It's because you've been intentional about relationships.
Yes. And you've invested in those
Mhm.
relationships.
And those kind of things take time and energy, and you hop on the phone and you do masterminds and you go to events, right? We'll talk
Yep.
more about that, but
Yep.
okay, I just want to be sure and hit that before we flew into
I'm
some of the
glad you
detailed
did. That's
strategy.
super important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's going to encourage and inspire some people, those kind of opportunities where you can help solve other people's pain points in the community and be paid well to do so.
Absolutely.
That's
Yep.
what this community is. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
So you got this. What's your goal for that business before we hop onto eBay? Just how big do you think this could get for you?
Oh, wow. It's almost as much as, so my girlfriend, she comes over and works with me several days a week. It's almost as much as we can handle now. Like
Right.
I almost need to start hiring extra help. But I have really good systems in place, and that's one of the things that I dug into early on was, because I could see that as I'm taking on client number 3, number 4, number 7, I'm realizing, okay, I can't just fly by the seat of my pants with this. So I developed really good systems for receiving inventory, sorting and listing inventory, good systems for inventory storage, good systems for numbers tracking, and it's a daily thing. Like every client has access to a spreadsheet where they can see their sales just rack up every single day, and they see exactly what they're going to get paid for everything every single day.
That's
And
awesome.
then yeah, it's really good. And then I issue payments once a month, and it's working really, really well. So it's seriously scalable. Like I
Yeah.
can just start adding team members, and
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know how big it could get.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Well, I
you
know.
should you should ask that guy right there,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it was his idea anyway.
It was all rooted in prayer and just kind of waiting
Yeah,
for
buddy.
God's
Yeah,
voice to
buddy.
lead
Lots
you.
of
And
prayer.
yeah, but yeah, I could see this. Some prep centers have just exploded in our community and serve
Hmm.
students all over the world who don't want to have to manage their own inventory. I think the
Right.
first prep center was from our community, actually, in the
I
industry.
think you're right. I remember when that happened.
Yeah, the
Yeah, so
board.
this is almost like a reverse prep center, because I'm
Hmm.
not prepping to send into Amazon.
Yeah,
I'm receiving the
yeah,
Amazon rejects and and
yeah,
work and
and
turning them into money.
flipping them to another platform. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
turn them into
which
money.
yeah, it's really the same. It's just handling other people's inventory because
Absolutely.
they can't logistically handle either the inconvenience
Yep.
or the shipping of the distances. Yeah,
Yep.
so it's
100%.
wide open, and I know that there's a lot of people in our community who are eager for content along those lines. So at some point,
Hmm.
when we've got this dialed in, man, I can't wait to train others on
Sure.
how to do more what we do.
Absolutely.
And with the conference coming up, with the timing of this episode, I'm sure you're going to have some great conversations at the conference as well.
Awesome.
We'll talk. I probably talked in the intro about that, but we'll talk more about that before I let you go. But let's dive
Cool.
into okay. The You're learning some things about how eBay works and how to get an advantage over your competitor, I guess,
Oh,
how to show up
yes.
better in the listings, right? For whatever it is you're selling. Talk me through that.
Oh, yes. Yes. This was another great revelation. And I'm going to give God the credit for this one too. But just by spending the time in doing so much listing and so much, selling on eBay, I started noticing. So we think, and honestly, this is how it used to work. All right, let's go back to the early days of eBay. They've got their search bar. You type something in the search bar. eBay takes those words and goes and finds listings with those words, right? So in the early days, I'm sure you remember this part, unscrupulous sellers would hack their listings with certain keywords. Okay.
Keyword
So they,
stuffing. Yeah.
yeah, keyword stuffing. Exactly. So they might be selling, a makeup kit, and they would, their description would be Britney Spears, Britney Spears, Britney Spears, like 100 times Britney Spears, right? Right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, and then the name, the makeup kit had nothing to do with Britney Spears, but it didn't
Mhm.
matter. They were trying to capture that keyword, right? And then they
Mhm.
pack their title with it, and then they name all their photos. Britney Spears one, Britney Spears. So there's the name Britney Spears shows up like 170 times in their listing, and naturally they go to the top of the ranking for any teenager who goes, "Oh, what's new with Britney Spears?" And so
Right.
she types it in, and that's what comes up is the makeup kit, right? And so they're making sales, but they're misrepresenting, the keyword. So eBay said, hey, this isn't good. We need to do something about this. So they, changed their search algorithm so that if you're packing keywords, you get dumped in the
Mhm.
search results. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's not a thing anymore. But the latest iteration, and they've just improved their algorithm over the years. So the latest iteration of eBay search algorithm is named Cassini. And Cassini debuted maybe 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Now, Cassini is really smart. Okay. And so Cassini doesn't just look for words. Okay. Cassini also looks for the placement of the words. And Cassini wants to see relevant words in your title. Okay. But here's the other thing that Cassini does. Like if you type a search term into the search bar, Cassini doesn't just take those words and goes out looking for listings that match those terms. Cassini first goes and finds sellers that Cassini really, really likes. And then in those sellers' inventory looks for listings that match the terms. And you can prove this yourself.
Hey, pardon the short interruption, but I've got an important announcement. We'll get back to the show in just a moment. But have you circled this date on your calendar yet? If not, do it right now. The last 3 days of May 2025, join hundreds of listeners to this show in Orlando, Florida. We want you there. The website is 3 words long, theprovenconference.com, theprovenconference.com. We want you there. You're going to absolutely love it. It's the longest running Amazon seller conference in the world. Did you know that? It was also recently voted among all Amazon sellers who participated in a third party voting. It wasn't us that sponsored this survey. It was a third party, neutral third party. It was voted the number one reseller conference in the world, right up there with Amazon's own event itself, which they spend millions and millions of dollars on their event. We have a smaller budget than that, but what we do have is the content and the connections and the relationships and the tools to blast your business into the future. Let's get together the last 3 days of May 2025 in Orlando, Florida, with hundreds of listeners to this show. Theprovenconference.com has details. Get your tickets now. The resort is phenomenal, a very family friendly place, multiple swimming pools right next door to SeaWorld. Bring your family, come hang out, come a few days early, stay a few days late. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see you in Orlando. Let's get back to the show.
And then in those sellers' inventory looks for listings that match the terms. And you can prove this yourself. If you type in to the search bar, a half dozen words, let's say you type in Dove women's underarm deodorant, lavender, 8 ounce. Let's say you type all of that into the search bar. You'll get your top 10 or 12 hits, and you'll notice that in that top 10, that there will be several that don't match those terms perfectly. Okay. So instead of 8 ounce, you might have a 4 ounce in there, or instead of lavender, you might have a, I don't know, ocean breeze scent. Okay. Now, how did that get to the top of the search listings? Because if you scroll down to number 75 or 80, you'll find a listing that matches all those terms perfectly.
Perfect matches. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so to restate what I'm hearing you say, Jeff, they will push perfect matches down the list in lieu of sellers they like having close
A
enough.
close match.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so they prefer a good seller that they like with a close enough result over an exact result
A
from a
hundred
less
percent.
trusted
That's how,
seller. Right.
yes.
So earning
Yeah, that's,
trust becomes a premium over getting
yes.
the keywords perfect.
Yes, and it's learning what Cassini wants to see in a seller, becoming the kind of seller that Cassini loves.
Hmm.
And you, once you do that, you
Hmm.
get bumped to the top, even when you're not matching perfectly. And you will make sales there. Like if somebody types in, lavender scented deodorant, an ocean breeze deodorant comes up, sometimes they're
Result
going to
number
go,
three.
huh,
Yeah.
you know
You're
what?
going to get
Ocean
a
breeze.
lot more
So,
eyeballs. More eyeballs equals more
yeah,
sales. I mean, that's not rocket
exactly.
science, right? So you're gonna
Yeah.
appear above the fold on a lot of different if they like you. All right. So what goes into Cassini liking you? Do it just have to be a guy who's been on there for 20 years with 45,000 feedback? What's
Not
the
necessarily, no,
yeah.
no. So there's a lot. There's like 100 different things that goes into it, but a lot of it is, yes, a good positive feedback score. Very very few neutral or negative. Having policies that are buyer friendly, like a generous return policy. Free shipping is a boost. Now I don't have free shipping on everything, but most of my items I've converted to free shipping, and that helps boost it up. Very low return rate, quick response when a buyer contacts you, quick resolutions to any buyer problems, having listings that conform to eBay guidelines. There's just a bunch of different things that go into it, but basically, it's just being a good person, being a
Yeah.
good, right, being a good seller, somebody
Representing
who's
eBay well.
conscientious,
Yeah,
representing
representing
eBay
eBay well
well.
and
That's
the
what they
customer
want.
experience. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Exactly.
we see the same thing on Amazon, to a degree that
Sure.
if you represent their brand well, there's rewards. And if you try to cut corners and get away with stuff,
Sure.
the
Sure.
customer's not going
One
to
of
be
the,
happy with ultimately. Well,
yeah. Yeah.
Amazon, eBay,
One of the biggest things that you can do to improve your status in Cassini's eyes is
Mhm.
make sure you're listing every day. List something every
Hmm,
day. And
interesting.
so if you're the type person that's like, oh, well, I only work on the weekends, that's totally fine. Okay. Create 8, 10, a dozen listings and put them in your draft folder. Okay. And every day just release one. Okay.
Mhm.
That will
Mhm.
get you listing every day. And Cassini goes, hey, this Jim guy, he's listing every day. He's pretty serious about wanting to be an eBay seller. And so that boosts your reputation in Cassini's
Gotcha.
estimation. Selling
Gotcha.
every day is even bigger than listing every day. And you
Hmm.
say, okay, well, Jeff, I can't control when people buy from me. No, that's true. You can't force people to buy from you, but you can make it as easy as possible for people to buy from you. So, do you allow offers? Yes, you should allow offers always. When somebody sends you an offer, you should respond to that. You don't have to take every single offer. You can send a counter if you want to, but respond to it reasonably quickly. eBay also on your seller hub will pop up a little line that says, "Hey, you can send offers on these items." Now, what that means is that means that buyers have been looking at your item, and so you can send an offer to them. Oh, I've got it priced at $30. You don't want to pay that? Here's an offer for 25.
Yeah.
Okay,
First
and
come, first serve. Who wants it?
yeah,
Yeah. Send it out
whoever
to the
has been
15
looking
people.
at
Yeah.
that will
I
get
love
an
that
email
feature.
that
Mhm.
it's a great feature. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I make
It
sales on
it's a
offers all the
throwback
time.
to the old days of, where eBay was very much customers interacting with sellers and relationships right on
Yes.
the platform. I love all those features that, Amazon's we've gotten away from that a little bit with
Oh
Amazon.
yeah.
But on
Yeah, for
eBay, you're
sure.
still communicating and connecting with sellers, which has its advantages and disadvantages. But I love the interplay. Like, yeah,
It's more
I'm
fun.
asking 50, he offers me 30, we settle at
Yeah.
40, sold kind of feel, it's fun. think
It is
there's some
fun.
fun there. So I love that. That's
Yeah,
you. You're kind of back in your lane of
I know.
eBay. It's so great, man.
It's a blast.
Yeah. Well, cool. So if I'm treating eBay, I'm giving it attention every day, I'm paying attention to the rules, I'm selling stuff every day, listing stuff every day. There's a switch that's going to flip at some point, and eBay's going to like me more than they like other sellers. Maybe you break
Absolutely.
into that top 5 or 10% or whatever where they like you. There's probably some invisible score somewhere, but then there's going to be an acceleration curve. Your stuff's just going to get more eyeballs. Is kind of the
Absolutely.
bottom line
Yeah.
lesson, right? So
Yeah, and
yeah.
you'll just gradually see more and more sales,
Mhm.
and you can check your status. Like you can take a listing that you've got, and go open a tab and type something in the search bar that doesn't quite match what you've got, and see what happens.
See where you
See
rank.
where you rank. So
Mhm.
when you do that, there's a drop down underneath the search bar, so you can sort things by price high to low, price low to high, distance from me, newly listed. There's several different things, but the default is always best match.
Right. So you want
What
to do
is
a
that
best match search.
best match? What
Mhm.
best for who? Well, best for
Mhm.
Cassini,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So, and that's always the default, and that's the sweet spot.
That's kind
Like
of like
that's
buy
where,
box on Amazon. It's the
yeah,
default. They
yeah, it
say,
is
this
kind
is
of
what we picked for you. This is what we think you'll like. You're most
right,
likely to
right,
produce a good result for you, the shopper. And
absolutely.
then the customer can decide, of course, if they want to scroll through 75 pages of deodorant and pick the one.
Yeah, yeah, nobody does that.
No, no one does that. Um,
Right.
oh, that's awesome, man. Very good. So we got this conference coming up in
Hmm.
May, which is, as people hear this, not many days away. So get over to theprovenconference.com and lock it in. We got hundreds of people attending. And Jeff, you're going to be one of the presenters this year. And so happy you're
Betcha.
going to be able to make it because you've missed a few here and there,
I missed a
understandably,
well, yeah.
over the
I
past
did.
few years.
Yeah.
So great to have you back. You're going to have lots of hugs for Jeff, I'm sure, this year. But
Oh man.
what are you going to be talking about, man? What's on your heart as you come into this event? Just talk to people about the event and what you're going to hope to bring in
Sure.
your presentation.
Sure. Man, this is a great event. If you go to only one conference this year, this is the one you
Mm.
need to go to. Like you'll not only be flooded with information, but you will be inundated with lots of love.
Yeah.
Lots of hugs. Oh man, it truly does feel more like a family reunion than a
I don't
business
want to scare away
conference.
the introverts. You don't have to get
Oh, yeah, and I
kids
always
get
post I always post a warning,
right.
like, if you are not a physical touch person, avoid this guy because I will crush your ribs. Okay,
Right.
that's
That's right.
likely to happen. But yes, if you're an introvert, you can just hang a sign around your neck that says, unclean or something. Keep people away from me, whatever. Okay, keep people away from you. But yes, I am going to be on stage, and I'm so pumped about this year because, I've spoken on stage, I don't even know how many times at your conference. And I kind of feel like I always say the same thing, like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff. I bought this for $1, sold it for 100 again, you know,
Hmm.
just that kind of thing. And that's always been my presentation. Of course, I have a lot of fun with it. I always inject a lot of humor and a lot of caffeinated energy into my,
Yeah.
into my
No one's ever accused you of being boring. We'll put that
Oh
there
my
for sure.
gosh. Yeah. I spoke at the Legends conference in March, and
Mhm.
Jimmy said he specifically scheduled me after lunch to keep everybody awake
Nice. Good call.
because he knows I'm going to be loud.
Mhm.
But this year I'm super pumped because I feel like I've got a fresh insight to share. And I'm going to be talking about making Cassini fall in love with you. So you get to be at the top of the search rankings on eBay. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's fantastic, man. Yeah, it's going to be a great time of multiple conversation or sessions. We've got, I think, at this point, about over 40 planned on everything eBay, Amazon, Walmart, multiple income streams. We got a guy talking about small business franchises this year that you can
Oh,
do from home.
cool.
We got AI as a topic. It's just going to be
Nice.
so much great. You can't possibly soak it all in. This is why we were recording it, and you get all
Right.
the recordings too as an attendee. But
Right.
live streams going to be kicking on soon. It's probably already on by the time this episode drops. But all
Good
that's
deal.
at theprovenconference.com. But yeah, it's so excited to have you there, Jeff with
Yeah,
us this year, and it's just gonna be a blast, man.
it is going to be a blast, and I promise I will not rap this year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thanks for that. That'll be a nice break. Yeah, a story maybe for another day, but yeah, the team set me up pretty good and put you on stage and had me mortified. That was like the 4th or 5th time we did our event, and,
Yeah,
it was hilarious.
yeah,
I
it was so
the
much fun.
yeah, good memories, man. We
Yep,
always have a good time, and,
we do.
it's not about, light shows and beach balls and impressing you with,
Oh yeah.
a special guest musician. It's real people talking about real businesses, doing life together, and
Hmm.
I think the difference between this event and some of the others that I've been a part of is others are kind of an event you circle on the calendar, it starts, it's over, and then you move on with your life. This one
Hmm.
is the launch of new relationships and new
Absolutely.
opportunities and
Oh
new
my
mastermind
gosh.
groups that I'm a part of. It's kind of a shift in your relational structure around your business, along
Absolutely.
with all the great ideas. So, yeah, we really encourage people to attend. We've got our scholarships still. Then let me just drop that for folks who are considering, like, oh, I don't know if I can afford it. We have scholarship slots available, meaning you come at no charge. If you've never
Wow,
been
that's
before,
great.
especially, you never been, our sponsors are amazing and they've footed the bill for us. Or, hey, let's bless people. If you can get to Orlando, come on in.
I love it.
And so get onto the website, theprovenconference.com, sign up for a scholarship. We'll get back to you and stay on site. The rooms are only $109 a night for a great resort.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a crazy price. We negotiated
It
it way down
is.
because we bring hundreds of people, and they said, "Hey, we want you back." So this is the same place we used last year.
Hmm.
Actually, dropped our room rate for us, so
Wow,
that's pretty cool because they
that's
loved us.
amazing.
But it's going to be a great event, man. Well, I can't wait to see you, Jeff. Is there anything else on your mind today that you wanted to share? Oh, we were going to talk to people how they could, if they wanted to get into some of your eBay training. We'll
Hmm.
stick a link in the show notes. It's called
Okay.
Treasure Hunting Profits, right?
Hmm.
So look for that in the show notes. What's that about? Talk me through that a little bit. What's your elevator pitch on that?
Right. So it's a paid group where I'm teaching the inner workings of eBay. Okay, and I'm giving you the tools you need to become somebody that eBay loves. Right. There's daily posts. I do weekly lives in there. I do a monthly collaboration call. It's a really good group, and it's an intense focus on the inner workings of being an eBay seller.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Treasure Hunting Profits is the name of it. And we'll stick a link, like I said, in the show notes today. So we'll have a special link, special offer of some kind. I'm sure we'll set that up. So
Excellent.
be sure to look for that. No matter where you're listening or watching today, somewhere near this content, you'll find that link to the group that Jeff helps manage. A great mastermind group. I know a lot of the people in there, just a really good community,
Yeah.
very giving and helpful, answer all your questions. And yeah, I to this day have an affinity for eBay. I mean, that's where I got my start, man. I love it. And we
Hmm.
make sales every month. We're still making
Hmm.
sales. I'm much more Amazon guy now than I used to be, but
Right.
eBay always has been and always will be in that backup lineup. Walmart, eBay, Amazon, those are the big three in my mind.
You betcha.
So yeah, we're excited to see where this is going. I appreciate you kind of owning that silo in our community as well, keeping us up to date on what's working and what isn't. And
Cool.
appreciate you, Jeff. Well, anything else on your mind before we wrap this one up, buddy?
Man, the only other thing that I would say is, we talked about relationship, and you know, people are going to hear this and they're going to go, "Oh wow, Jeff found one thing that he's driving at and whatever." And I know that we kind of get in our heads and we're like, "Man, I got to find my thing. I got to find my thing. I got," and you can stress over that. Okay, it's not worth stressing over. Okay, the best thing to do is just to do what you've got in front of you, do what you're called to do, and just be open. Be open to your relationships with other people, because like I said, this whole thing just started with a friend of mine saying, "Hey, would you consider this?" Okay, and be open to listening to God, because he's going to steer you in the right direction. If I had not been listening to him, I'd probably still be working in a factory today instead of
Mhm.
instead of doing what I'm doing here.
Exactly.
So the best thing to do is just don't stress over it. Right, things will come to you, and you may not get this amazing angel singing sunrise revelation that says this is thy calling in life, but just follow the promptings that you get, follow and be open to what people are telling you, and you will be steered the right direction.
Yeah, I'm convinced of that as well. The number of times we've seen, and it's been a theme in our community for, a couple decades is being in e-commerce means occasional pivots, right?
Yeah,
Changes. And
absolutely.
relationships are the backup plan. Like, hey, okay, I've got all this inventory. I thought I was gonna be able to sell it. I can't. Who can? Oh, that guy can. All right. So he's gonna sell it and I'm gonna get a percent. No,
Yep.
no, what's the solution is always, I love the theme of I haven't read the book actually, but I hear it referenced awesome, often, is who, not how, right? So it's not, how am I going to accomplish this? How am I going to
Right.
make this happen? How am I going to find my niche? How am I going to know who? Who am I going to connect with that helps move the
Yep.
ball forward? Who can I step up to and say, hey, what's working? How can I help?
That's
Any
good. That's
projects I
really
could
good.
partner up with? So be thinking the solution to every challenge you're going to run into in e-commerce is a person,
Hmm.
not a tool or a course or a strategy or software. It's a person. And as soon as you
That's
adapt that
great.
mindset, I completely agree with what you just said. You can relax and say, okay, am I working on my network of relationships? Have I
Hmm.
been intentional about it? Am I getting into masterminds? Am I going to events? Am I calling people and checking up on them? If so, I've got a very bright future. If not,
Absolutely.
you're going to hit a dead end at some point. You're going to be a lone wolf and look around like there's a desperation there.
Yeah, that's not a good place to be.
And community solves that. That's why this
That.
community, I think, is sustained so long, is we've been the solution to a lot of challenges.
Hmm.
So, and you've been a huge part of that, man. You're inspiration. We've been through some rough times together, brother. We've
We
seen
sure
some
have, my
beautiful mountains
friend.
that we've climbed together, and
Right on.
it's been a pleasure to do this journey with you, my friend. I consider you
Same.
one of the best
Same
friends
here.
I've got,
I
and
agree.
it's just an honor to work alongside you, serving this
I
community.
agree.
So, God bless you, brother. See you in Orlando, right?
Yes, sir. We'll be
All
there.
right, man. Well, let me talk to the listeners for just a second as we wrap this one up. If this is one of the first episodes you've heard of our show, I've got some great news for you. If you enjoyed it, we've got hundreds of episodes. You heard us talk about 1,000 episodes. Most of them, the vast majority, are interviews with people who have gone on to succeed using the strategies we teach in this community. So if you're looking for inspiration, encouragement, some new ideas, check out our podcast, scroll back in time, let us know what you think. Jump into our free Facebook group. We've got coming up on 82,000 people in our free Facebook group, which is
Wow.
significant, especially when you consider that we don't let in any spammers. We kick out the clowns constantly. These are people who take their business seriously, and they're there not to spam you, but they're there to support and encourage and learn from each other. That's a great group. It's free. Get over to silentjimdotcom, jump into that group. Come to Orlando at the end of May, the last 3 days of May. 29th, 30th, 31st of May, 2025 in Orlando. Be there, the Proven Conference. Come see Jeff, give him a big hug or a high five, and we'll see you there. God bless the business building warriors of this community. We'll have another great episode for you very soon.
Thanks for listening to this great episode of Silent Sales Machine Radio. We have a very quick announcement that you don't want to miss right now.
Does anyone out there ever feel uncertain when choosing an ACE in a test? Like, it's ambiguous and you're not really sure.
Yeah, or like you have to stand on one leg on the second Tuesday of the first week of the month if the moon is in retrograde.
Right. And hold your mouth right. You gotta remember to hold your mouth right. Then you might possibly
consider testing that ASIN someday, maybe.
right. Sometimes Keepa seems overwhelming. Like it's got so many data points. What if I'm missing something? I'm afraid I'm missing something, so I don't want to pull the trigger. Right?
Yes. Well, we host a 2-day workshop that will demystify the process of building a predictable, scalable, and sustainable book of business on Amazon.
Yeah, it starts with a pre-flight inspection of a listing. So you can answer the question, should I go any further with this ASIN or do I need to move on?
If you get past that, we're going to show you how to apply 3 simple yes or no questions that will help you decide whether to pull the trigger or not.
Yeah.
Like, is this even a good ASIN to test?
Right. And if you do decide to test it, we'll help you implement a framework for a 4-week testing process. And this process is clear and methodical, and it'll tell you whether you should replenish that ASIN or not.
Now, in these 2 days, we're going to roll up our sleeves and we're going to practice how to apply these critical concepts together. It's intense, it's focused, and it's packed with frameworks, quizzes, and actionable information that really is going to stack the deck in your favor when finding your first 100 replenishable ASINs.
Or your next 100 replenishable ASINs.
Yes, I love it.
Yes. You're going to leave with a roadmap to create your foundational book of business over the next few months.
Our next workshop is May 27th and 28th in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, but seating is limited. It's an intimate setting, but you'll be able to ask all of your questions, plus you'll hear all the questions of the other attendees.
Yeah, this is fun, dynamic, educational. It's a great experience where you will get to meet and work with other people who are doing the same things that you are with similar goals. Imagine how you would feel when you get back home after the workshop and you're feeling transformed from unsure to certain, from cautious to confident, from overwhelmed to empowered.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to stand on one leg anymore and hold your mouth right. Just making sure, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So if you would like to feel that way, go to provenamazoncourse.com/100. That's provenamazoncourse.com/100. And we look forward to seeing you there because we're inspired by the accomplishments of others.
We're passionate about helping others reach their goals.
And we're committed to sharing the keys to success that have been shared with us.